Coming to you live from Darshan Studios, it's Zinc Comics Exposition. Good evening. I'm Brian Payne. We're joined in the studio tonight by the vibrant velvet voice of my lovely wife, Skywalker.
Hey, let's put on a show.
Welcome to the show. And no, Skywalker, I did not screw up. That's not our usual opening video, some of you might have noticed. Tonight, I've noticed that our viewership has dwindled. So I'm wondering if the Buddha is a bit too didactic. So I'm going to try and add a little bit more of the Sky and Bry show to this. And tonight we're going to be discussing progress, and that's with a big giant question mark. Let's watch that video again, shall we? Let's see here. Okay, this is the view from our balcony right there. Beautiful, isn't it? That's Kachemak Bay. Okay, this is the problem. You see that giant structure right there? Let's see, right here. Yeah. Let's go back to that, shall we? That there. That was not here when we moved in. When we moved in, that was not here. And we we originally were renting the condo here in Alaska, and within weeks of us deciding to buy the place, we noticed this structure starting to appear across the street there. And at first it was just the house in the background, the giant thing, and then it became the littler structure behind it as well. And only recently, here, let's watch this again. We still have that view. Thank God. It's so beautiful. Okay, you see those smokestacks on top of that building? Those are new too. So little by little, we're losing our view. I used to be able to sit on my balcony and watch the tide rush in and people walking on the beach, which is now blocked by that tower to bad taste. Okay. Anything you have to say about that video there,
No, I
Skywalker?
think you said it all quite well.
But we have noticed a lot of progress in town lately, have we not? I mean, it's they're definitely been building it up since we moved in, have they not?
Well, I find it interesting too, the amount of building up that's been done with not the amount of moving in, but more moving out. So I guess these people know something we don't know, and there must be building for the far future.
When did that new hotel show up?
That showed up before COVID, like 219, if not
Okay.
218, but definitely 219 it was here.
Now, that was our front view. Let's take a look out back, shall we? Okay, Skywalker.
Well,
Tell us what's in store for that beautiful field in the back there.
well, what was sad was you didn't get to hear the birds because there's birds singing and hanging out in that stand of trees, and we're documenting the demise of our little bit of wilderness because an Anchorage developer, and actually this is the second developer because the first developer pulled out during COVID. So the second developer is going to build 10 little houses back there, and they'll probably be selling between 200,000 and 300,000 because that's how much the little houses on the other side of the tree sell for. So, the moose will still come around because the moose will go anywhere they want to, and they go into the little houses next door. But the birds will have to be going to some other trees, and that makes me sad. But I asked the developer, and he said they're going to plant some more trees.
Yeah, the loss of trees there and the loss of that field is, you take it for granted that it's always going to be there. And now that they're going to have houses there, not only that, but when we look out there, we're going to be looking at other people. And, I hope they're not looking back into my window. And those trees, the in the summer you can actually open your windows here occasionally, and it's nice waking up and hearing those birds singing in the background. And the moose, towards the same time of year every year, they come down into town more because food's running out and they're looking for food. And those trees and that field itself are a lot of food, and we always see moose back there at the same time of year every year. Just like a couple weeks ago basically was the time you see it. So I'm gonna miss the birds, the moose, and not having neighbors. I don't know which will be worse, this or missing the front view, but anyway, that just makes me sad, and I wanted to address that, and maybe you guys find our plight interesting, or at least can relate to it, or if nothing else, you enjoyed the beautiful scenery. But now, per usual, the wife and I will continue to discuss Osamu Tezuka's 8-volume manga masterwork, Buddha. This week's chapter was entitled The Contest. Correct, Sky?
Yes.
Okay, in this chapter, the monk Narada, Tada, the boy who can possess animals, and Shopper's mother continue to explore the city of Savati. It's a big city, and the character in the story actually compares it to New York or Paris, even though those cities did not exist at the time of the events being depicted. Tezuka does these sort of things quite often in his work, albeit I sometimes wonder about the accuracy of the translation, or if this is just put in for Westerners. In the original translation, it could say Tokyo or some such, I guess. I don't know, just a thought. Anyway, while shopping in an open air market, a procession of elephants pass, bearing General Budai and Shapra. Shapra's mother calls out to him, and the royal guards beat the lowly slave woman for daring to be so familiar with the general's adopted son. Chopper is informed of this and wonders if, in fact, it is his mother. Yet just then he gets a visit from a young warrior who challenges him to an archery contest. We've seen this young mysterious character once before, too. Yet only now do we finally learn the name of the archer who saved Tata from the belly of the snake. In a previous chapter, his name is in a previous chapter. His name is Bandaka. Did you catch that was the same guy,
Oh,
Skywalker?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you notice that his eyes, there are no pupils?
Right. I was looking at that today thinking I guess that's because he's evil.
Yeah, I was.
And the other thing is, why is Chopra blonde?
He was always blonde.
I know, but that's just as character in India. It's like I've never seen any blonde East Indians.
Yeah, well,
So that's
it's
another thing I'd say that Suzuka's
yeah, that's a
doing.
car. That's an artistic license on Tezuka's part, and he has one, and he drives with it. Uh, but for a moment, I was thinking maybe he was blind, but there's no sign of that being the case. So I don't think that is. It's
No,
just
not the way that he fights.
yeah. Um, it- so anything else you want to say about where we are right now, up
Uh,
to this point?
this is the point when Chopper's losing it, and Tezuka does it, shows it in the drawing, and he calls him an a-hole, and his face is all scratched up and angry, and then it just gets better and better and more intense, and he just loses it, and he really,
There we
this is,
go.
yeah, this is definitely a case of showing and not telling. He's really a master of showing
Yeah, Shopper's
emotions.
so irate that he tears apart the panels of the page itself. Did you get that those are the panels of the page?
No, not until you said it. I was wondering. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, in the next panel, he's left the gutters laying around and he's like picking up the mess he created. And there's tears in the page and sound effects, but basically, it's like a 6 panel grid and he just knocks the gutters and around. That's why I wanted to show you that. That's definitely inside comics stuff, but I just loved that panel and we had to show it, I thought. So anyway, that's when his girlfriend, Princess Malika, walks in bearing a gift of jewels from her father, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and then they walk and talk together. And the next morning, it's the contest, which that's the title of this chapter. And it's kind of the King's Cup Redux, isn't it, Skywalker?
Well, yeah, when they had that fight before.
Yeah, it was almost like an Olympics. In this
Right.
one, the two contestants each performed 3 trick shots. Um, and they're both equally matched. The first one is easy enough, but on the second one, now I'm not sure about this. Shopper either hears his mother call out or he is distracted by thinking of her, but he still makes the shot. How
Right.
do you read that?
Yeah, he's not sure, but he does the shot.
Yeah.
Gets it
So,
good. Yeah.
and then there's another interesting thing that Tezuka does that I think we need to address here too, as far as the manga and the. Let me just. Here we go. There we go. Now, I'm not sure what this is supposed to represent in the story. I think relief or some sort of basically it's like saying phew, like phew, I made it. I got the shot. But these little pig guys, they appear a lot in Tezuka's work. And I did a little research, and I think they're worth talking about. I'm going to probably mispronounce this word, but I think it's Hayao Tantsugai. Hayao Tantsugai. Okay. And that's the name of this little pig guy. And it was based off of a scribble that Tezuka's little sister did when they were young. And it appears in a lot of Tezuka's stuff. It appeared as a tattoo or a brand on Tada's foot earlier in Buddha as well. Hayatan is the Japanese word for calabash. What's a calabash?
It's a gourd.
Yeah, so perhaps it's not actually a pig, but a gourd. Regardless, the repeated inclusion of this character is a trademark of Tezuka's manga, and I think it's really interesting. It often appears in crowd scenes and always kind of as an exclamation point. It's but it doesn't always seem to represent the same thing. I think I need to know more about this. So if anybody out there knows more about this character, please let us know. Did you notice that when you were reading through?
The use of him, not
No,
until what, the exclamation point part.
yeah. Had you noticed the little pig character and that it had appeared as the brand on Tata's foot earlier, marking him as a slave?
I didn't remember
Okay,
that one, but I did notice them today.
okay. Yeah, I just think it's really a cool little doodle, and the fact that it's based on something his sister drew is even cooler because it's almost become like a trademark or a logo for Tezuka. So it's interesting. I won't try and say the word again, but I think I got close. Anyway, back to the story. In the final round, the two contestants shoot plastic arrows at one another while on horseback. Chopra hits Bandaka squarely in the chest, and so does the arrow that Bandaka fired, albeit he appears to have used a real arrow. Is that how you read it?
Oh, right. You forgot to say um, Bandaka had wanted to do go for kill, and Chopper said no, we couldn't get approved for that. So they got these arrows with like suction cups on the end, but he used a real arrow,
Okay.
and Chopper used the suction cup.
So Bandaka had challenged him to a duel to the death, and Chopra said, "No, we're going to use these toy arrows that, like you used with your when you were a kid and had a bow and arrow with the little suction cup that hits the wall with a pop sound." Anyway, the chapter ends with Chopra's birth mother rushing to be with her by her son's side, no matter what the consequence. Anything more to add to that?
Well, the reason, the consequences are that she's a slave, and they don't want a slave around the general's son. But she's not thinking about how it will impact her son if the public finds out he's really a slave. So there's the mother's love, but there's the mother's misplaced love. And the other thing is, I want to talk about the way the horses fly, because when they're shooting at each other, the horses are like literally flying through the air off the ground. And that's pretty
It's
cool.
yeah, and they ride across rooftops and stuff. I think
Right.
it's kind of like that crouching tiger, hidden crouching tiger kind of kung fu that they had in the
Right.
old movies where the guys would jump around and fly. I think there it's art again artistic license. It's very cartoony. I mean it's almost like Tezuka is the Walt Disney of Japan, you know, and it has that rubbery thing that you find in old Daffy Duck or Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse Sunday cartoon strips. Anyway, anything else you'd like to say about the?
Well, I'm curious to see where it's going to go and get, because now Chopra's been wounded. His mother's after him. The general's taking him to see a doctor. And we need to know what's going to happen next.
Tune in next week. Same Buddha time, same Buddha channel. Thank you, Zinka. Thank you, Zinka. Thank you, Zinka. Thank you, Zinka.